Sometimes I'm like to my husband, listen, fella, if you throw me on the bed now after I just done my hair, you know you're gonna get slapped. And he's like, well, honey, sometimes I know I'm not gonna get any right now, so some contact's better than none. Now, these things are tough to describe and they're tough to share. As I've said, it was really God who pushed me to share my personal journey, more of my personal journey with the public. I am really, it's not in my nature as a woman to do that, but I feel I'm supposed to. I feel I need to try and describe these um, these subtleties, these simple things that seem to make all the difference. Um, I've been through a lot. Um, the first 20 years of my life, I was actively exploited, sexually, spiritually, physically. Um, I survived sometimes severe beatings. Um, and and so in a lot of ways by rights I really shouldn't be here, but I am. And so the way I have healed has been interesting, and the way I have confronted had to slowly confront those scars and that trauma. Well, it's very long and it's ongoing. But my husband and I have always been very sexually compatible. But at this point in my life, in our marriage, and all the things that we've been through, um, well, my husband could be a bad boy, okay? And I went through a lot of fear over many years in our marriage, afraid that he would end up dead in a ditch someplace. Um, he was jumped a couple times, um, and survived. He wasn't beaten or anything, but it could have been bad. One of them, both of them were multiple men. One of them had a lot of men. He got away, but anyway, it's because he was up to no good. And so I went through a lot of fear, and it was really very traumatic as a mom, young mom, being home alone, not knowing where he was and stuff. And so I'd have to confront this possibility that he would die or I would lose him, and then what would I do next? And then a lot of very other traumatic things happened after that with my family, and over the last 3 years, my husband and I have been through some really major healing stuff with us, and so I had to confront in my mind again that fear of what if I do lose him, and he's not behaving badly the way he did. He's reformed a lot, but still, I haven't dealt with that, and what I'm getting to is that there are just these certain little things, and I'm just gonna get right to the point when we're making love, and they have never changed about me, and I haven't been with any other man, and so um, the the possibility, the idea, the possibility of having to start over with another man, if something were to happen to my husband. Another thing is that he does have like heart problems and stuff in his family, and he smoked for 20 years. My husband smoked for 20 years. I mean, there are these things, right? And and so starting over with another man, and then okay, I'm just gonna get into these little things. So I was talking to my husband, and this, and breaching this fear and anxiety with my husband was that I hadn't yet was really important, and really important for him and for me. And I said, I don't think that I would end up with a man or go that far with a man without knowing that we would work on many different layers, including sexually. But there are these things that have never ever changed about me, and they are. I'm just gonna give you a couple of them. Like, if we're in the throes of lovemaking or whatever, fine, great. But I need to be comfortable. And if we stop for a minute and the sheet is like pulled off the corner, I need that fixed before we keep going. I don't like the blanket being like balled up. And like when we were first together, he would just be like, like this young. We were both young, and inexperienced. I mean, he was experienced sexually, but he wasn't experienced relationally, right? And certainly not with a woman like me. And he'd be like, "What's the matter? Fine, I'll straighten it out for you." Like, he'd get frustrated, and it would make me upset, and I would just like, being young and stuff, I would just sort of keep going. Sorry, I got loud there for a second. I would just kind of keep going, and but over time, and it's been this back and forth with us, and over time, I realized that I needed to accept these things about me. I like his frustration about like this little thing while we were making love. Another thing is like, as I said, I need to be comfortable. I don't want my head hanging off the bed or something. Like, I need like, a pillow under my head. Like, there's just certain things, and they need to be consistent. The point is that my husband realized over time, the hard way, that if he wasn't patient about these things, straightening the sheet, making sure I was comfortable while we were making love, having my head supported, stopping when I told him to stop, that even if I just kept trucking and I kind of would shove it aside, not bring it up. We had kids, like, we had a very full life. And the sex was generally good. But he realized the hard way that these little things added up with me. And if he didn't take the time to straighten the sheet and listen to me, if he didn't take the time to be patient and talk to me, then these things added up over time, and our relationship and our sex life did suffer. And so tying it back to breaching this subject with my husband about all this fear and trauma about losing him, and having to start over with another man and all that, being able to confront that, it was tied in to these idiosyncrasies, because I realized when I was talking to him, I'm like, in my mind, in my traumatic mind, I'm like, I might be a good lover. I don't think I have an issue with that. It's more just these things, it's not going to change with me. As soon as I tell another man, like we need to fix the sheet, like, is he going to run for the hills? Anyway, my husband, he's gotten over himself a lot, and he's just having this conversation with me, and he's like, honey, if there's anything I've learned over the years, is that any of it, all of it, whatever it is you need, is well worth it. And any man with any common sense and perspective, most importantly perspective, is going to see that.